You hear the phrase all the time, right? It's all smoke and mirrors. We see it in politics, we see it in advertising, we even see it in our own conversation sometimes. Well, today, we're going to do more than just talk about it. We're going to decode the actual language of deception. This isn't about learning how to trick people, nah. This is about learning how to spot it a mile away. So here's our game plan for pulling back that curtain. First, we'll look at hiding in plain sight, all the words for secrecy. Then we'll jump into the language of lies to see how words themselves can mislead. After that, we'll meet the masters of manipulation, uncover some of their unlikely tools. And then finally, we'll wrap it all up and leave you with your brand new, sharper lexicon. And really, this is so much more than just a vocabulary lesson. It's about being precise. Because you know what? When you can actually name a tactic, you can start to neutralize it. It gives you this power to just cut through all the noise and see what's really going on. So, I want you to think of this list of 20 words as a new toolkit for your mind. Seriously, each one is like a special lens you can look through to spot the subtle ways deception works and, more importantly, to call it out when you see it. Okay, let's dive right into our first category. These are the words people use when they want to disappear, or they want the truth to disappear. This is the real vocabulary of concealment. First up, abscond. This is when someone vanishes, usually because they've done something wrong, like a CEO fleeing the country with a bunch of money. Then you've got clandestine. A mission is clandestine when it's secret because it's, shady or illegal. Think spies in the dead of night. To pull that off, you might use an alias, a fake name, so you can be totally anonymous. But my favorite one on this list has to be Adumbrate. This is when someone deliberately gives you just a vague, shadowy outline of a plan, hoping you won't notice all the messy details they're hiding. And right here, you can see the power of using exactly the right word. I mean, secret operations sounds one way. That clandestine operations, that one word tells you there's a level of danger, maybe even illegality, that makes the secrecy absolutely essential. It just hits different, doesn't it? Okay, so if those last words were all about hiding people or actions, this next set is about hiding inside the language itself. This is how words, the very tools we use for communication, can become the perfect place to hide the truth. You can talk and talk and talk and say absolutely nothing real. So a circuitous route is that long, scenic path you might take to avoid rush hour. But circumlocution, that's what a politician uses to avoid a straight question. It's a long, winding road of words that goes absolutely nowhere. An apocryphal story? That's the classic urban legend, like alligators in the sewers. Everyone's heard it, but there's zero proof. To allege something is to point a finger without having the receipts. And of course, a bias is that thumb on the scale that can twist the truth before anyone even gets a chance to speak it. Now, this is a really crucial distinction to get right. Circuitous is about a physical path. It's about geography. Circumlocution is about a verbal path. It's about evasion. Knowing the difference helps you spot when a conversation isn't just wandering, it's being led in circles on purpose. All right, so we've seen how people hide, and we've seen how language can be used to hide the truth. Now let's get to the words that describe the manipulators themselves, the people who are actively, skillfully trying to trick you. To beguile someone is to charm them, but with a hidden agenda. To bilk someone is just a fancy word for cheating them out of their money. To circumvent a rule is to find a clever little loophole to get around it. The people who do these things are often described as wily, which means they're really skilled at being deceitful. But they might also be canny, which means shrewd and clever. What's the difference? Well, a canny investor makes smart, sharp moves. A wily investor, they might be rigging the game. And you can just see how these words team up to paint such a clear picture, right? The salesperson wasn't just a crook, they were wily. That tells you they were clever about it. And they didn't just steal, they used charm to bilk people. It's the perfect description of a sophisticated scam. Now for our last group of words, we're looking at some ideas that, honestly, don't seem deceptive at all. But in the wrong hands, wow, they can become incredibly powerful tools for manipulation. So let me ask you, how could something like beauty or belief, or even the feeling of being numb, be used to deceive someone? It sounds a little strange, but let's break it down. Well, you can adorn a terrible product with a beautiful aesthetic to hide its flaws. A charismatic leader can captivate an audience, making everyone forget to actually check the facts. A so-called clairvoyant uses your own desire to believe against you. And then there's the most subtle one, anesthesia. Metaphorically, this is anything that numbs your critical thinking, so you don't even feel the lie when it happens. Each one of these is a tool designed to dull your senses and your judgment. All right, we have covered a lot of ground. We've walked through the shadows of secrecy, navigated the mazes of misleading language, and met the masters of manipulation. So let's bring it all home. So here they are, our 20 new tools, from Abscond and Clandestine for hiding to Circumlocution for talking in circles. We've got Beguile and Wily for the manipulators, and even Aesthetic and Anesthesia for their unlikely weapons. These aren't just vocabulary words, they're names for the very tactics of deception. That's 20 powerful new tools in your intellectual toolkit. You are now better equipped to analyze what people say, to question the stories you hear, and to say with precision exactly what's happening behind all the smoke and mirrors. So I'll leave you with this. We've given you a little peek at the blueprints, the architecture of deception. You can see the structure behind the facade now. The real question isn't just about what these words mean. It's about what you're going to do with them. How will you use them to build a clearer, more honest world for yourself?